Hey, everybody. Coming up on today's podcast, we've got more Rivian news because it's another podcast, and this is Planet Earth, and so there's always going to be Rivian news. Find out what happens when stupid people buy Ford Broncos, floating hotel rooms, and commercials coming soon to your Netflix streaming account. Wait, what? Yep, all that and more coming right up.
Welcome into the podcast, episode, I think, 119, if you're keeping record. Say hello to my good friend and co-host, Keith, over there. Keith, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Hank, you know, I've been thinking about y'all and y'all dang old bottom and all what's going to get moving again. I think y'all ought to go jogging and swimming in a water bunch, man. They're going to be bad having you pooping just like you used to, man. I know it's going to work.
Yeah, it never gets old, man. I love Boomhauer.
I gotta boost the volume a little bit. But yeah, hey everybody, Thank you so much, everybody, for inviting us into your lives. It has occurred to me on more than one occasion that, especially on the podcast side, you schedule us into your routines, into your lives, right? Like, listen to us on a regular basis. Everybody has their preference, man. Some of them, it's on the drive home. Some of them, it's on the train. Some of them, I guess, are with Boomhauer, and it's poop time, right, Jay?
Yeah, right, man. I tell you what, a dang old man gonna get it run. We talk about cars and stuff.
You know what? If it makes you feel better to listen to me and Jay on the toilet, y'all
go right ahead. Yeah. Hey, so good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks
We've joked before that Jay and I have gotten so busy. This is our scheduled time together.
It really is. It is.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, leaps and bounds, explosive growth on the podcast.
Oh my God!
How's
cannot thank you guys. I cannot thank you guys enough. Yeah, almost did. Is it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I got you.
So that's good. That never gets old. Can you hear me now? I was actually saying that the other day several times for bad reception on my phone service, AT&T. Anyway, yeah, man. I mean, our growth. Thank you guys so much. Our podcast is over at PartsCountyGuru.com. Click on any of the podcast link and click on any of your major platforms there that you choose and you like to listen to. We're there. And then thank you also for going over to our YouTube channel and subscribing to anybody that has subscribed. If you have not, please do so. Thanks so much, man. We are growing like crazy. As a matter of fact, just before we came on air today, Keith shared a little piece of analytic stat with me. Gosh, thanks for all the clicks and the buzz, man. Wow.
Yeah, baby.
Love it, man. Yes. So I think it's the sound drops is why they're listening.
Oh, is that it?
I really do.
Yeah.
I think so. It
Okay.
has nothing to do with the content at all. No, nothing.
I'm very important. I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells of rich mahogany. I'm friends with Merlin Olsen,
What?
too. He comes over on occasion.
What's playing in the background there? It's Beautiful Day. The guy that sang Beautiful Day, right? It's got
Yeah. I can't remember his name, man, but he's 70s.
Yeah. So gosh, I was completely derailed. Oh, yeah. So we thought we'd do something a little. Yes. What? Go ahead.
Did you? Was that a little bit of a slip for the?
Brain stutter.
Well, you said Otay.
Oh,
I mean, was that a buckwheat?
Okay. Yeah. I don't have any buckwheat drops.
Oh man, Otay, you got some too hot for the hot tube. Hi.
I'll have to James Brown. I'll have to get
Brown.
some.
We got to have some James Brown, man.
So we thought we'd do something a little different on this one, as kind of a little bit of a tribute to our podcast crowd, our fans there, but also commentary on something that Jay and I have been dancing around for years now. And it's time that we deal with this. I feel like we're going to have to go long form on this one. And I feel like not necessarily a longer program, but we're going to spend more time on this particular topic than normally we would do, which for those of you keeping score, it's about a 15 to 20 minute segment per segment. This one may run a little long. The world's going to hell in a handbasket, Jay. And I'm just like, in the words of Popeye, I've had all I can stands and I can't stands no more.
Oh, but I'm full of those, man. Anyway, it is, and I think it's gotten a lot worse, for sure. I don't understand the loss of appetite for doing the right things, or even just trying.
I've spent a lot of time thinking about this because you and I have talked about this on the side many times. And I've tried to pick it apart as best I can. I have some theories. I think that we're going to all see examples of this kind of everywhere we look. I think that's really the concern here is the number and frequency of times that I'm experiencing stuff. Like, we've all gone into situations where it's just bad. People don't care. They're just half doing their job or whatever. It just seems like it's happening more and more. Is it just me? Are you seeing this too? And if you're seeing it, are we just Waldorf and Statler here? Or, I mean, is this happening all over the world?
It's happening all over the place because I talk to a lot of people, across the country with some of my consulting jobs that I have. And we're having the same conversation that you and I are having right now, which is, what the heck is wrong with people, man?
Well,
you know what?
And more interestingly, and this is where it's going to go off the trippy deep end. Why haven't you and I been affected, or have we? Right? Like, maybe, am I operating under some sort of altered state here and I just don't even realize it?
I don't know. I mean, is it a generational thing?
Well,
maybe.
I thought about that, but I'm telling you that I've seen this in people that I gauge to be close to my age.
Yeah.
So, part of me looks at this and I think there is some truth to the entitlement. And there's a generation or two that went through this, and I think that it's bled over into other generations, and there's a little bit of an entitlement mindset. So, okay. So let me just give you, you've got some real world examples. Let me throw out one or two. You throw out one or two. Let's talk through this in true therapeutic style here. And I kid you not, Jay. Like, I don't even go a day anymore without witnessing something that's like so. It so fits this whole MO that we're talking about. So I was at the drive-thru yesterday, okay? Right. And I've got another example from today, from 2 hours ago that'll blow your mind. But I'm sitting in the drive-thru, and it occurred to me, I've got this motor, Jay, and I think you do too. And my motor runs at kind of this pace of did-it. And there's a reason for that. It's because I know there's a clock ticking on the wall. We all have a limited amount of time before we're done, and I'm trying to I want to get stuff done. Like, I got this I just have this drive to just like I want to get to stuff, right?
Right. Yes.
And if it's a bad movie, I can't stick in it anymore because it's like right. I could be if it's a good movie, it's fine. It's time well spent.
Right.
I'm sitting at the drive-thru, and there's a lady in front of me. And I mean, she's driving an Infiniti. She's got a nice, it's not like, this is all classes, right? It's not like Kevin Spacey in that movie where he just went to work in the drive-thru and basically threw his life away, right? I mean,
right.
And her motor is operating at dit. Nobody in front of her at the drive-thru. It was a late lunch. It was about 1:30.
Yeah.
And she's literally sitting there for 3 minutes trying to figure out what she wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, my life is literally passing before me. Like, it's a restaurant. Like, this is fast food. Like, you're not like going off the deep end here with specials of the day, right?
Right. Yes. It's lack of self-awareness. It's lack of just. It's like everybody is just supposed to be okay with you and your actions and what you're doing. There's no consideration for others around you. We're just supposed to kowtow to your whatever you're doing.
I mean,
right?
It was my, and this was going to come as no surprise to you, the guy who goes to McDonald's and asks for, what is it, the medium Coke, and you get the coffee, or you want the large?
I asked for the small Coke instead of the coffee on a breakfast menu.
And you get like a large
and
Coke.
I get a large Coke.
Okay.
And I hand it back to him.
Can we role play here for just a second?
Yes.
No,
yes,
actually,
sure.
okay. You're going to be me, okay?
Oh, okay.
Let's see how well you handle. Let's see if you handle this better than I did yesterday.
I don't know. Maybe I can. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So okay. First of all you want, I'm going to tell you right now what, just so you know, here's what you want to order, okay?
Okay.
You want the signature chicken sandwich with classic sauce, not the spicy sauce.
That's what I want.
Yep.
Signature chicken sandwich with classic sauce.
Not the spicy sauce.
Not the spicy.
Got it?
Got it.
Okay. Ready? Here we go.
Yes.
Hi, welcome to Rackford. Can I take your order, please?
Yeah, could I get the signature classic chicken sandwich with the classic sauce, not spicy, just a classic sauce, please?
What you want to drink?
I just want the signature sandwich with the classic sauce.
Doing good, Jay. All right. You want that spicy?
I want the signature chicken sandwich with the classic freaking sauce.
This is exactly what happened yesterday.
Holy cow, man! Are you kidding me?
Same.
Well, no, I know. It's not that hard, right?
No, it's not. And you could. I know where you guys are going to go with this. You're going to go, yeah, but he's working fast food and he's kind of like, just doesn't care and, whatever. And maybe, but I can throw example after example of this kind of stuff, right? Like, didn't you had something like this recently, right?
I have stuff like this on a daily basis happen to me, man. I can give you a fine example this morning. I had a meeting this morning. As you well know, I am on the board of directors for my homeowners association. So our property management company reaches out to us and schedules a walk through the community to discuss what I think is our quarterly maintenance schedule, things that we need to get taken care of, yada yada.
Here,
the normal
keep
stuff.
going. I'm gonna give you a little.
Great. So as I'm thinking, and I get this email and respond to the so-called future meeting at 10 a.m. today, I thought, well, our landscaping guy was not included in the meeting. Okay, great. So I text the guy and said, hey, do you think you could show up and do a walkthrough with us at 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning? Sure, no problem. Day comes. Guess what, guys? We're having a meeting. And the property manager says, so let's get started. Okay, well, our landscaping guy is a very busy guy, so we choose to go in his direction to make his life easier so he can get back to work. Being considerate. Self-awareness. What happens? Boom. We start pointing out things that need to get replaced. Man, guess what happens? Our property manager says, oh, we can't do anything. We can't pretty things up right now. We don't have it in the budget. Okay, so why didn't you say that whenever I told you that he was going to be included in the meeting instead of wasting his time?
Yeah, but see, that would have required like preparation, constructive critical thought.
Yes, but when you are getting
objectivity,
paid, you are getting paid to be doing all of these things. This is your job. This is your livelihood.
What about, does it even matter that you're paid?
It doesn't anymore, apparently.
No, I mean, should you have like a standard that you show up with if you're getting paid to do a job and one that you show up with if you're not getting paid to do a job?
Well,
careful.
It depends. I think it depends on you.
So my Little League team, I'm not paid to coach that, right? It's hours and hours of all the coaches, not just me, our time
Right.
scheduling. A lot of the coaches putting money out of their own pocket.
Sure.
Should I show up with less of a work ethic?
No, because it's what you chose to do. You choose to be a volunteer coach for this team, just like I choose to be a volunteer board member for my homeowner association. So that's why I'm doing my due diligence. It's a volunteer job. This is just what you do, you know.
So I have a theory here that I'm gonna put out. I have a concern, and I this is the concern. This is kind of why I wanted to bring this up today. Is I feel like we're headed to hell in a handbasket, and if we don't put a stop to this, it's gonna get really, really bad. So you guys might be listening to this thinking, yeah, well, this is going to happen and it's going to continue, and there's not really much that can be done. I disagree, and I think that if we don't curb this right now, it's going to get to the point where things in society are going to get. We're going to all end up being like those guys on the Uber Eats commercial where they're eating tape, and or remember the movie Idiocracy where it was just So, there was and by the way, they did pre-record it. You can watch it. You should watch it. I took some clip notes for you if you don't have the time. But a prominent podcast hosting platform, I'm not going to name names, did a webinar today. And they basically, it was focused on, it was an entrepreneurial type thing where they were focusing on how to grow your podcast, okay? And I'm always like, it's like, yeah, ways to get better. I'm all in, right?
In which, by the way, Keith and I, on our own time, are continuously looking for ways to get better for you guys. This is what we do.
I like that. I like having a better product.
We take pride in what we do. We take pride in the product that we want to put out for you guys specifically. So,
there's a reason we didn't call this the Clown Show, right?
That's right. Yeah. However, we could have one of those if we want.
So I'm kind of so I show up 5 minutes early. I don't know why. Just go figure, right?
Yeah.
The host and the guest host are having an open mic conversation, completely unaware that everyone joining the room can hear them. They're having prep discussion. They're getting texts from people going, we can all hear you. Like, it's that awkward. Like, you should have, this isn't the kind of stuff you want to air out with your customers coming in the room. Then the guy did you know that, here's one for you. The guy that started the company of this hosting platform.
Hold on. Is this Vandalay Industries?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just name them Vandalay Industries.
Okay. So the guy that started Vandalay, okay, right. He's the host. He's the CEO of the company as well. Mm-hmm. Shows up to this deal, which they use Zoom for. Mm-hmm. This is a podcaster that has over 1,600 episodes to his credit.
Wow.
Doesn't bring a mic.
What?
He's doing a Zoom webinar and doesn't have the sense to show up with his podcast mic.
Wow.
There's technical glitches one after another. The guest running the thing, it doesn't look like she's ever used a PowerPoint. She kept apologizing for the thing going back to the beginning. This is all stuff that's easily dealt with if you just spend 10 minutes before the show walking through the presentation.
Speaking of, Keith and I, prior to this particular podcast, we're like a pilot and a co-pilot going through our checklist,
walking around the plane,
our pre-flight checks before we get rolling. And guess what? We found a problem on my end that required me to go through some steps and checks and stuff, and ended up actually just aborting the whole thing and just rebooting and reconfiguring everything, and it took care of the problem. And what we figured it must have been an update that recently happened and changed some settings in the background that we were not aware of, and we resolved it. However, had we not gone through that, being mindful of that and checking those things before we started this, then this podcast may not be so great, and any video that comes from it may not be great at all. So, Yeah.
Now
just
this
what
is
we do.
this is one of the prominent podcast platform hosts. Like they're one of the best.
Would they like for us to show them how to do this?
And this, well, that's clever way to make lemonade, Jay. But this was okay to them. This is my point. This I'm knock the mic over. This level of professionalism was okay for them to bring to a public appearance.
Right.
And they're fine with it. And they're going to keep probably doing it. And I don't know that there was no indication to me that anybody had any remorse over how poorly things ran. So this is where this is my point, everybody. If you continue to allow this sort of thing, be the change in the world you want to see. If this is going to end up being a situation where this is going to be more and more common, and we're just going to be told, well, where else are you going to go? What other choice do you have?
Right. Exactly. I mean, exactly what I said. You know, it's like raising prices due to the current situation in this country, actually globally. I said this about the plantings, the beautification of our property. I mean, let's face it, the Homeowners Association it's not a business, it's a non-for-profit organization, not for profit. But it is a business that you have to run. You have annual budgets. You have the whole accounting process, profit and loss. Well, not profit and loss, but SIM2. All of these things go into play. Well, if you're losing money and you don't have enough money to operate, then somebody in the room has to hold their hand up and say, maybe we should raise the dues a little bit. I mean, annual raise.
Yeah. Now this is where I might beg to differ a little bit. So I witnessed that very same thing happen in my neighborhood a few years back. And I'm gonna
Well, I'm likening this to the problem we have in this country right now is the cost of goods, the cost of services.
Yeah.
And when our vendors have not raised our cost of services in the 4 previous years, and last year they had to, but yet we didn't accommodate for our losses, something is wrong.
Yeah,
I'm saying that it's time to raise just as everybody else is.
The danger there, though, Jay, is that then you get people that are going to spend it to zero no matter what the dues are. And I've seen that happen several times. There's this mindset of we got to spend it, right? What can we spend it on? And then you get in this vicious cycle of we're out of money and we need an improvement that we didn't plan for, so it's time to raise the dues again.
Right.
And it's probably better to be like I've always said this, in an HOA is no different than a business. Show me a balanced budget, show me where your money's going, then come ask me for more. Don't come tell me that we need more money without a solid plan of where those dollars are going to be spent.
And we have that solid plan. That's what I'm saying. And everybody's afraid to raise the dues. It's kind of an interesting. It's a different mindset, maybe. I don't know. I mean, mindsets of HOAs are the same no matter where you go.
We had a dude. He was on the board.
Nobody wants their dues to go up.
Yeah, so. I mean, so we had a guy. I think that we have a little grassy median at the entrance. Right. It's just tiny.
Yeah.
And he went out and spent. I think the budget for it every year is like $300, like just for grass seed and whatever. And he went out and spent $3,000 on it last year. He got a wild hair to just go do a bunch of like upgrades. Mm-hmm. Well, that requires approval. Like that's way over. That's hundreds of percents over the budget. You got to get approval. Well, he didn't get approval. Right. He just spent the money. So they had no choice but to raise the dues, right? And the dude's still on the board, and nobody's gonna, whatever, because people are just like, oh, well, let's people don't read the fine print. Like they don't know what the previous year's budget for it was. They just saw that he spent $3,000 and thought, all right, well, we got to figure that out, right? Like, I mean, it's just here we go,
Yeah. It is a different animal, but what I was trying to give you was the fact that the cost of goods and services have gone up across the board for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think people are standing at the door in Safeway saying, sorry, we had to raise the prices, and all that kind of stuff. It just is what it is. You need stuff, you go buy it. You can complain all you want.
Yeah, so I I have a theory here, and this is where I'm headed with this. So I think there might be an element here of I don't want to work.
Right.
And this kind of was the entitlement thing that I was talking about, where it's they're angry that they got to work. So everybody had this kind of year of screwing around, right? Like we had COVID.
I agree with that. I do agree with that, man. Yes.
And it was like, well, I'm getting paid to sit here, and I'm going to do as little as possible. And then it became, I kind of like doing as little as possible and getting free money. But at some point, there has to be a reconciliation. Like it's unrealistic to expect that you're going to go through life and be handed a paycheck without some sort of contribution for those funds.
Right.
True. So then you get you and I have talked about this on the side many times, what I call the AIS factor, the ass in seat.
Right.
Well, if you're gonna make me be here from 8 to 5, then I'm gonna be here from 8 to 5. But that's it. I'm not gonna give you much.
Right.
See, I had a conversation with a friend of mine last week, and you and I talked about this off air. And he said, we've got some employers that just refuse to allow any remote work, and some of it I get. Like, you're not gonna work on an assembly line for General Motors remotely.
Right.
You're not going to be able to paint houses remotely. You're not going to be able to paint cars remotely. You're not going to be able to do body work remotely. You are not going to be able to deliver packages as a UPS driver from home.
Right.
There are certain jobs, there are certain skill sets that require you're going to have to be in person.
Yes.
You can change careers if you don't like it. I mean, it's never too late, but it just comes with the territory. But I think everybody... So you have these employers, and they're like, no, I'm going to require 100% in person. I don't trust people. I know they're going to be goofing off, right?
Right.
And I just said to my friend, I'm like, well, then he's just going to get the AIS crowd.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I mean, I'm in a similar situation where that was actually occurring, and was requested to fill that seat remotely because they knew that it was going to get done.
There are very few careers in this world that you can't establish some sort of metric for performance that says, hey, you're going to sell cars? All right, you need to have a quota.
Right.
Or write police tickets for, oh, wait, no, that's a perversion of police authority. Never mind.
That's a whole other podcast.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Or,
how about policing the self-checkout line at the grocery store? I got one for you on that, too.
Okay, yeah. You work in IT? All right, well, we got to have a certain, if it's project-based, then let's establish kind of timelines for that project as metrics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You work in, the automotive industry, and you design, valves? All right, well, we need to have a certain number of these out by the end of the quarter, right? There's metrics that you can use regardless of the field that you work in. You work in the drive-through at a previously, unmentioned, chicken joint service company.
Right.
All right, well, let's get those orders handed out the window in less than 7 minutes each, right? I mean, there are ways, right? It doesn't have to be just a body punching a clock.
Right. However, there are people out there they're just totally okay with just being a body punching a clock. That's not me. And I don't think that's everybody.
But
sure.
It seems like it's
it
seems too many people.
It seems like that it has grown exponentially over the last 3 to 4 years. Yes. Yeah. I get it. It's nuts, man. Can we talk about self-checkouts?
I would love to hear your theory on.
Well, it's not a theory, but it's just an incident that occurred.
Now, let's define. Let's be clear on this, okay? Because I feel like we could get into a gray area here with some of our audience that I don't want to lead them down the wrong path. Now, you said self-checkout, but I think you mean the express lane, the short items line.
No, self-checkout.
So, for example, I went through Walmart yesterday to buy some various spray paint stuff. Major and I were working on a project.
Yeah.
And I had, I don't know, like I had 15 items, but I just went through their little you scan it thing, right?
Right.
But
That's
there's
what I
no
mean,
sign up
self-checkout,
there
you
that
scan,
says
right.
like I have to have like a certain number.
Thank you very much for going there. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So for me, I don't even think express checkout, express lanes even exist anymore. I mean, it's almost,
they do, like Publix has them.
Yeah, but
The grocery store, Publix. You've heard of them, right?
yeah, but everybody's in there. I mean, what I'm saying is they're most of the time for me in the express lane, it's just not an express. There's nothing quick about it because the line's out the door. The line's out there's lines in every checkout, standard checkout, self checkout. My point is this:
Are you going with the Walmart at Christmas thing?
Well,
do you know
I'm
that
going
one?
With, I think I do. What's that? Go ahead. Explain.
Walmart has what, like 20 checkout lines, 30?
Yeah, they do.
A lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What's
And
the
then
busiest? What's the busiest time of the year? Yeah, they have
Christmas is.
they have the self
And then
checkout
they have
thing.
the self checkouts as well. Yeah, the cubbies. Yes.
All right, everybody, take me up on this one. Do your homework. Have you ever seen Walmart have more than 50% of those lines open, including Christmas time?
Oh, I never have. Now,
so is that
here.
that your thing? It's like there's always more people that need to check out than there are.
This is a. You've been here. You've been to this.
Yeah, I
store,
know the Safeway. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Every lane is open. I mean, in this store, trying to find something express to check out is like the single $100 bill in the middle of that huge machine where you put a
Dollar
quarter
bill,
in and
yeah.
you drop the
Yeah.
thing down and you pick it up to get it.
The
You
claw.
never get it.
Yeah.
The claw, right? Yeah. Well, they expanded the self-checkout lanes. Took out 2 regular checkout stands
Yeah.
to expand the self-checkout. Now what you have in self-checkout, instead of just one basket to come through to check out, I am seeing more and more people with just like boatloads of product that are taking their time. They're setting stuff on the floor.
You jest, but I think that guy actually is loading his boat up with, like, they come in
Absolutely,
off the dock.
yes. They are.
Yeah.
This is a different world here.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, that they should regulate that stuff. This is what bothers me about these things is that we're just supposed to accept the way this is. If I've got a thing of ice cream in my hand to check out, and all I got to do is go up to one of those, boop, 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 boom, boom,
Yeah.
I'm out, right?
Right.
I can't get there because this Yahoo's got 2 baskets full of stuff going, and he doesn't even have the room to park both baskets in the lane where he's at. I can't get my stuff in there to get it done. I'm questioning the self-checkout process. There's no incentive to do it anymore. It used to be because I could get through quick. I don't have to deal with anybody.
Right.
I can bag it myself the way I like to bag it, and I'm done.
What?
There's no incentive anymore for that.
Well, they don't have to pay somebody to handle your stuff, so that means you get a discount on your
You
stuff.
should get a discount. Yeah, you should get a discount. Exactly.
Right.
Where's that discount? Right? So
Yeah. So, are we coming off the rails here, man? I mean, as a society, are corporations just? If you have a company like this podcast hosting platform that thinks it's okay to do something like this, and nobody will care. If you have a company like Netflix who made some recent changes, which I think we're going to get into.
we are.
And nobody. I mean, is this becoming a trend, and is it going to eat us alive?
I think it will eat us alive. That's my opinion.
And
I think it's really going to bite us, man.
how do we change course? Is there a way to? Is there a pathway through this?
For the smart ones. For the smart people, yeah. I think for the people who have no self-awareness and can't think for themselves, no.
Well, but that crowd is growing. So, and this is another question that I have. Do you feel like that crowd is growing? So, it feels to me like we are watching all this infighting. You know, politically, if you go on social media, it's us versus them, both sides.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
And it's not even civil anymore. It's I want to destroy the other guy. I want to destroy the other party.
I mean, I have seen, everybody has, the videos of the people that just lose their cool over a stupid mask. I mean, it's insane to me. I mean, how do people get to that point in their brain to where they feel like it's okay to scream and lash out at people when you are confined to a 2-foot by 4-foot section that you've paid? I mean, how do you not?
You got nothing but memes, which, you know, basically don't require any critical thought, and you got everybody basically communicating with these quippy little, haha. I think.
Do you think that texting and social media is a big factor in this? I
think people have been herded into a almost a cult mindset on both sides. I think that it's very so I saw this communication a couple days ago on Twitter. By the way, we're on Twitter at The Counter Show. And it was a bunch of people talking about how, you know, there needs to be standards in journalism and we shouldn't allow, you know, this misinformation, and, you know, that editorial line has gotten really gray and people are basically just allowed to kind of present things that aren't even really, there's no factual basis to them anymore.
Right.
And, you know, people are being misguided and they're being misled, and all it takes is one guy to come on here and, you know, make some sort of claim, and then there's going to be a herd of people that are going to follow him. If you read the comments on the Bronco thing we're going to get into in a minute, it's perfect. Like, it points back to that. And I thought, yeah, that's true, except that haven't we sort of failed ourselves by not teaching people to be
I think so.
a little bit more self-conscious, to be a little bit more independent thinkers? Like, somehow we have failed here. And I don't know if it's this way in the rest of the world or not, but I feel like nobody's able to, very few people, our listeners are capable, but very few others are able to just step back and objectively go, does that really sound like it could be a thing?
Right. I mean, how many of these people that, like you said, that they're just followers and they see these memes or they see something, you know, about, you know, like you just said with journalism, you know, the non-factual information getting out there and people take it as it's you know, the gospel, if you will, and that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, you kind of wonder. I mean, do they not read a contract that they're signing? Do they, you know, I mean, do they believe everything that they're sold or told when they're purchasing a product? Do they not go out and do their own homework on this stuff?
Well,
or what?
I think some of it. I think, in terms of the people, I think there's some gullibility there. And I think we have failed as a country to do a better job of teaching. You know, the schools teach you to get an A on the test, right? And you do whatever it takes to get that A, and then you forget that information a day or two later or a week later, right? And what we ought to be teaching is how to constructively solve, like, it's problem solving. It's really analyzing. It's more of an analytical nature. It's getting to the heart of the challenge and the issue and overcoming those challenges, not give me the right answer on a test, right?
Yeah.
And I think on the other side, on the media side, and they're to blame for this in large extent, they're willing to do anything. And you and I understand this, Jay. Everything is run by clicks and views. How many views did we get? How many clicks are we getting? Are we trending? What's our trend this hour? What's the trend this week? Like, how can we kind of get on that train, right? And so we've become sort of these slaves to, I mean, as our pal Boomhauer would say,
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that dang old internet, man, you just go on there and point and click, get in there and talk about www.com, and you got them naked chicks on there, man. You go click, 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 click. It's real easy, man.
I mean,
Yeah, I love it.
I don't think anybody could say it better than that, right?
No, Boomhauer was a genius. Absolute genius, man. On every subject, every level. Absolute genius.
But there's an element of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is, man. It's like a rabbit hole you go down and you can't get out. You can't see the light of day anymore, man. You know, once you get in there, and people are just I think you hit the head of the nail. There's so much there's gullibility going on, man. There's a lot of that. People are so gullible in some
Can
respect.
I do though? That's not what's on my computer screen one. I'll do it quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you've heard this story. I'm sorry for making you have to listen to this one again.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm at a large big box hardware warehouse store.
Yeah.
Everything okay? You just
What
need
color
some
is it?
ear air.
What color was it, man?
Blue.
Oh,
Really?
okay. Yeah.
Are you trying to make me say Lowe's? I'll say Lowe's. Okay,
Okay,
it was
go
Lowe's.
ahead.
All right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And I ordered some doors for the
No,
closet.
let's call it highs for this story.
Highs. Okay.
Highs.
I'm at Highs. Okay.
Yeah.
I had to do all millwork is typically custom order, and so got some new appliances, which that was a whole other story that we'll get into another day. And they were too wide for the existing bifold doors to work, so I had to come up with a new solution. So I ordered a barn door rail and some doors to basically for my laundry closet. Now these things are 16 inches wide each. They're 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
6 foot tall.
At least.
Okay.
Yeah.
So picture in your head, everybody, there's 4 of these, 16 inches wide, 6 foot tall. Okay. I get the phone call. I get the email from Lowe's. Your stuff's in. I go to the front customer service area, and there's signs everywhere that says online order pickup right here. And I'm like, hey, lady at the front, I don't know. I've never done this before. I have an order of some doors, and there's a rail kit that goes with it. Do I see you? Do I go back to the guy in millwork that I put the order in with? What do I do? And she's like, give me your phone number, give me this, give me that. She's looking up my order. And the minute that I heard this, Jay, I knew I was screwed. She goes, do you remember who you talked to?
Oh boy.
You those words?
Oh boy.
And so she goes, all right, hold on a second. And she's going back to these, Jay knows this, but just to paint a picture here, to these cubbies that are behind the customer service area. They're just like you had in like elementary school, little cubbies that you put your, shoes and your snacks in.
Books, yeah.
Yeah, and they put their online order pickups in these. Now, these things are probably like, I don't know, 2 feet by 2 feet in a cube.
Let's just say 2 for our, yeah, let's say 2 by 2. Yeah.
And I'm politely, like, I give her a good minute and a half, and I'm like, I don't think they're in there. I don't think they're going to be in there. And she looks at me and she goes, well, it says that they're in S121, and I'm just trying to, I'm looking here near S21 to see if somebody put them in the wrong one. And I went, and I swear to God, I wasn't trying to be insulting. I just went, these are doors. And she went, do you want to look at my screen? And I knew I was screwed at that point because it was like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course that's so similar to other things that we've joked about before with the wiper blade purchases at the auto parts stores.
There is absolutely no critical thought going on at all. I mean, it's a door. You're looking in a 2x2 cubicle.
This is
freaking 6 foot tall door.
Right. There's no thought process.
4 of them.
You just told me that these are doors.
Yeah.
That they're 6 feet. I have a cubicle. It says that it's in this cubicle. There's obviously no way that they could fit in there. That's not even computing up there. That's not even happening.
And
with
this is
person.
the person in charge of like I would think front end operations,
yeah.
sort of running
should
the
kind of
customer
know
service side of things.
Yeah.
So I mean, and the employers like Highs are gonna say, well, it's the best we could do. We can't find good help right now, and I don't know how to solve because I know that we do have some work shortages, and I think honestly you just have to promote the heck out of the ones that are doing a good job, and you have to
play to their strengths and put them in the right positions and set them up for success.
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, I mean, when you're just trying to put a body in a spot, just because you need an extra body, you're almost better suited to just not even have an extra body and ask for a little bit more out of the ones that you can trust and pay them well and compensate them for it.
And again, everybody, I said in the beginning, and stay with me here just a second. We're about to jump into some meat and potatoes, but I said I don't think that this necessarily has limitations on social class. Meaning, you could be well compensated at a job. And I don't know that necessarily means that you're better at that job or at a skill these days. I mean,
it's true.
I'm seeing examples of that in the world too, Jay. Are you not also?
Absolutely.
What's on
100%.
here? All right, let's take this somewhere practical. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right, Jay. Ballpark. Not trying to hold your feet to the fire on anything.
Okay.
What's a new Ford Bronco cost?
Starting at about 47,000.
Top end 100, 110.
110.
You go nuts, you can load that sucker up. You can get close to 100K,
yeah,
right?
It's going to be, let's just say for argument's sake, between 50 and 100 grand.
Now, 50 grand. Am I going to be able to afford a 5-year note on a $50,000 Autumn? I'm honestly asking this. Working at a fast food joint?
Probably not.
I'm probably going to have some sort of corporate job to pay for that, right? Especially if it's not my only vehicle and I've got a family.
Or 3 fast food jobs.
Or you're busting your tail at 3. Yeah, so that's possible.
Right. Somebody who really is a go-getter and wants to have that Ford Bronco, yes.
So somebody with money, this is my point,
I know,
got their hands on a Ford Bronco. Do you want to break this to the audience, or do you want me to?
Well, I'm sure that. Well, you go ahead. You started it. You break us in. I'm there. I'm waiting on you.
So
Kyle.
we got a guy that honestly, it's just dumbass city. He took his Bronco out on a sandbar and he got it stuck. And apparently, now this happened in, if I'm not mistaken, Maine.
It's Bahaba.
Okay.
Bahaba, Maine.
Thank you for that. How long did you practice that?
I didn't. I'm very aware of what part of the country it is. I've learned over the years. I guess I classify as someone who knows, who's done their homework.
Now, I read this on Car and Driver. The guy, I don't know if it's a guy, could have been a lady, to be fair, drove it out on the sandbar. Apparently, didn't pay attention to all the warning signs that point to dangerously high tides in the area. There's crowd reports of them doing donuts. I can't confirm that nor deny it.
Right.
Apparently out having a little fun, got it stuck and had to leave it there. So now his brand new Bronco, which, and I say brand new because there ain't nobody had one more than a year at this point,
Right.
Is underwater.
Right. And why is it underwater? Did you? I know why.
Well, the tides came in, right?
The tides came in, and it's posted everywhere. Danger due to excessively high. This area is known for excessively high tides, and so this dude's just out there on this sandbar just burning donuts, and he gets it stuck, and he's stuck. He can't get it out, and the tide came in really, really quick, and now it's kind of got submerged.
So I feel like there's this, and again, this goes back to what we were just talking about. Everybody that's joining us on the YouTube side, thank you. We do a little bit of a long form thing sometimes. We have a podcast you can find on our website at partscounterguru.com where we got into a little bit of the mentality behind this behavior. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is another example of that behavior in thinking with, I guess, not thinking, right? No objectivity. You have it just because it's a 4-wheel drive doesn't mean it's impervious to the elements.
Right.
4-wheel drives still get stuck.
They do, and this has the Bronco itself is able to survive fording through 33 and a half inch deep water.
Hey, let me ask you a question. You live close to a harbor or a sound, right? Or what? Yeah. Technically, what's it called? Bay.
Bays, yes.
Okay. when the water
I
leaves
live on the Sound, yeah.
Okay. When the water leaves that area, when the tides recede, when they go out, I guess you would say. Okay.
Yeah.
The earth underneath where that water was.
Yes. Yeah.
Hard as a rock?
No. Muddy, you get stuck, and that's
Like quicksand, right?
It's a coastal plain. It is. It's like quicksand.
So
If you're wearing shoes in that stuff, you are able to get yourself unstuck, I will guarantee you, most likely, you're not pulling your shoes out.
Okay. So just because your Bronco is capable of driving through mud doesn't even necessarily mean, even if it's 18 inches of that mud, that could be enough to put a stop to things.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, look, the person that was driving this thing, obviously not very aware of things around him, maybe not even deserve to own one of these things, not knowing this type of thing. And what I liked so much about this.
Oh man, please, yes.
It's
the comments.
Yeah, you go ahead and get started. We'll get you started on that. But it says perhaps the lack of knowledge can be explained by the truck's New Jersey plates. And he was in because he's not a local.
Yeah,
they're gonna give him that. But the comments were pretty funny.
Clear.
One
Clean
Go ahead.
Carfax, one owner only used for mild off-roading.
Right. Of course, it's the same guy doing donuts in what field? There's a field.
Ice cold air conditioning, fresh as the sea breeze.
That's so crazy.
Oh
man.
yeah.
Soon the phrase Bronco driver is going to have a specific meaning in the culture the same way the phrase BMW driver means something that you don't have to explain. That's an interesting.
But you know, and I hate that, but there's probably some truth to it that, you know, we could. Ford's success could be a weird, odd stigma that happens, right?
Hey, check this out. A fool and their money are soon parted.
Again and again and again and again.
I guess the owner was testing the marine grade vinyl.
Someone didn't learn from playing the Oregon Trail. Don't ford the river; it never works.
Yes. Oh man.
Dysentery
man.
soon to follow.
Let's see here. The tide is so high, I'm moving on. Blondie. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, look, we could punch this hard, man. But I mean, it's just, again, it kind of falls right into what we've been talking about. You know, you're waiting for somebody out there to say, hey, you can't drive through that, man. You know, read the sign, man. Read the sign.
So, yes.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay. I was going to transition. Is it time?
If you want to transition, we can transition. Look, this is so weird. I mean, usually I'm stuck on this sandbar here, and I can't get out.
Well, I'll tell you how to fix it.
Tell you what you do, you just take them dang old spark plugs out in that little hole, you just put a little oil around there, just like Bobby Unser says, it's like it'd go boom, boom, just like that.
Just like that, Jay.
Just like that, man. I love it. So when you go stay places, man, like hotels and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you ever have like this? I mean, do you really want to sleep in the pool?
That's an interesting question. Depends on how much adult beverage content I've consumed.
Well, I mean, I've been to the swim up bars at pools.
You're never supposed to get to the punchline at the beginning of a joke, but Jay, I don't think they're sleeping.
Oh.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Can you?
Yeah. Do I have the? Do I? Yeah. Somewhere. Here it is.
Well,
no, that's not it. It's that one. There you go.
Oh, that's a little. All right.
So
talking about little pearl suites.
So what Jay is talking about is we found now Italian design, of course. You would not surprised at all, right? That it's Italian designers.
Yeah.
Hope it's not the same Italian designers that collaborated on new DeLorean. By the way, got a video on that out. You guys make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Check her out.
So they're calling them Pearl Suites. They're floating hotel rooms.
Right.
Now these things have a retractable. It's half a circle on the water.
Right.
And it has a retractable shield for privacy, I guess. Half that circle. This literally looks like I think I've seen Roger Moore in one of these at the end of a James Bond movie.
I'm pretty sure you have too. In fact, I have.
So they got they got obviously the big bed there. It looks like they've got a little desk with a little TV monitor off to the side, because who doesn't want to do a little work while you're out floating around on the bay?
Right.
You got a little bathroom in the back. I'm not sure if you saw that. You probably did. And they appear to have they have a motor. They have a propeller. They have a prop underneath that has a navigation system on it. The way the design showed to me, there was kind of a central main area, like a big one. That was kind of the dock. That was like the hotel concierge or whatever area.
Yeah.
And then you could take these things out and kind of just. I wonder what the range would be. Like, I wouldn't want to be 10 feet from the one next to us for previously mentioned reasons of not sleeping.
Right.
Right? And, the motion of the ocean and all that. But how far away can you get from the main dock?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. They have motors on these things.
I mean, are you going to let the occupants drive these things around, or are you going to have a kind of a remote controlled situation?
Yeah, so I didn't see any way for the occupants to navigate this thing. I do see the motor. I do see the anchor. And also, just so you guys know, this thing is it's very well balanced. So in other words, the part of this hotel suite, they call them pearl suites, by the way.
Looks like half a pearl floating on the water.
Looks like half a pearl floating on water, right? And so the body floats around it, while the actual area where you're sleeping, the living area itself, stays flat, stable, and never takes on the motion of the water that it is in.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But what? Who does this? Why? I mean, what's the?
Well, if you can't get TikTok, I mean, I don't see that this is going to be very popular. Sorry, I can't. I can't quit with the bashing of the yeah.
But Lazzarini is the Italian designer.
Does it work in certain ocean resort communities? Is that
it would
maybe?
have to be in a controlled environment. Have to be to where, let's say, it would be roped off, or they have special rights to the water that they're using,
so that you don't get some jackass in a
some dude
cigarette
rolling
boat.
through. Yeah, exactly.
Don Johnson on Hot Pursuit, right?
Yeah. Pier Paolo Lazzarini.
Okay.
He's the Italian designer, and he has artistic visualization and prototyping skills, is what they say. So he's got his finger in just about everything, man.
Did you see that he had some solar panels hidden underneath the deck cover?
I did. There's a lot of interesting things going on with this. It's really well thought out. Me personally, not for me. I mean, I would rather have a hotel room up on the shore, and then go get on a boat and take the boat out and hang out for the day and come back in and dock it and move on, go about my business.
Right.
I don't think I could sleep in this thing and be out on the water. I don't know, maybe not, but I mean, who does this stuff? I mean, what? I mean, I guess this is the same people renting these things are the same guys buying the Countach, I guess.
Oh, I was going to go, parking the Bronco in the middle of the sandbar, but...
that dude, yeah. Yeah,
right?
Probably so, man. Yeah. But it's pretty cool. But they get into a little bit of everything. They got a lot of projects going on. They get into automotive stuff. They get into aerospace and architecture. They've got some bigger things out there I was checking out. The Pearl Suites looks like to be the smallest. They have one that's called a Whaleland. Whaleland is a new offshore living experience, a floating city made of modular pyramids that offers different living and entertainment facilities, including hotels, shops, spas, gyms, bars, and cinemas, completed with solar panels and water turbines for energy supply. The project aims to provide a new offshore living experience within a self-sustainable community. That I get, because that's like that's like going on a big cruise, like Carnival Cruise or something.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a lot of space. See, I'm a space guy. You start...
Wait, did you say space guy?
Red alert! All hands to battle stations.
All right, sorry.
Speaking of space guys...
No, finish your thought. Yeah, we'll get back. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm one of those guys where I'm a bit claustrophobic. I got to have a plane of view. I've got to be able to see. You know what I mean?
So you wouldn't necessarily be a good candidate for the new Disney Galactic Star Cruiser Star Wars hotel. Do you know about this?
I've heard of it, but I don't know if I'd be a candidate or not.
So it just opened, and basically the concept is while you're in this hotel, and I think it's a 2 or a 3 day stay,
right?
You are completely immersed in. You're supposed to be on a spaceship, okay?
Right.
Even the transport shuttles that they use to take you to the hotel are special, so it doesn't look like, for example, you're just riding in a taxi or an Uber or a bus, right? Mm-hmm. So you go on this thing. Your windows in your room, everything is, you see stars outside.
Huh.
There's the meals, you have aliens like walking around in the common areas in costume.
Well, look, if the plane of view for me is space where I can physically, it gives me the like I can see out, I'm good with that. But it's when I'm looking and I'm looking at a wall. And I'm like, and then right next to me is another wall. I'm like right in the middle. I couldn't live in a narrow canyon.
So you wouldn't be good in the trash compactor from Star Wars, where they were.
Yes, there you go.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
right.
As long as I'm not sliding down one of those chutes into that, I could probably handle that. Because like I said, if it's an animation of the space and moving things out there, and it tricks me to think that it's then that psychological aspect of being claustrophobic is taken away from me. But no, I don't know that I could if the roof was open all the time, yes, but then they might see me doing my business in there, man.
Or you just gets hot, in the sun, right?
Could. Now, here's one question. It has a bathroom in it.
Yeah.
Where does that go?
Oh, that's easy. Now I know. The funny joke is you just dump the number 2Z out into the Bay Area.
Really.
Or as Boomhauer.
Hey, Hank, I've been thinking about y'all and y'all dang old bottom and all what's going to get moving again. I think y'all ought to go jogging and swimming in a water bunch, man. They're going to be bad having you pooping just like you used to, man. I know it's going to work.
So it's holding tanks, just like in an RV, just like on a boat.
Or a boat.
And they go up to the dock and they flush them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Bigger boats that have
airplanes do it
those.
too. Yeah.
It's I know, I get that, but still, it's just like
it's more fun to think about like turds floating out. Yeah.
So anyway, check Pearl Suites out, man. Those are cool. They got it's Lazzarini-Design-Studio.com. Check them out. And make sure you go over to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button.
Give us the comments on this. I want to hear your thoughts, everybody, on this. This is an odd one, even for us. This could get interesting. Let us know what you think.
So, I've seen the latest episode of Picard.
Okay. Yes.
So let's go. All
right.
Right?
Now, I'm going to throw you a curveball here.
Okay.
So, let's man, I was gonna do something, but now I think we get into Netflix here in a minute because it's just gonna fit. Okay.
Okay, I got you.
So I've got a problem, Jay.
Got a problem, you got me.
I get hooked on these shows, and they've gone back to the old way. You guys that were all can't wait till we get back to normal with COVID. Everybody was like, can't wait till we get back to normal. Can't wait till we get to normal.
Right.
Yeah. And then we get Disney Plus, and Apple TV Plus or whatever it is, and
Paramount
Netflix,
Plus.
and it's season 3 of Ozark now streaming the entire season. Come get it, right? And I'm like,
Right.
woohoo! Binge watching this weekend, right?
Yep.
And now Jay and I are watching Star Trek Picard. Good show, right? Good show.
Oh, fantastic.
Paramount Plus,
Yep.
and they're piecemealing us this freaking show one freaking week at a time.
Yep.
And I can barely contain myself.
Yeah,
Okay?
this is one of those shows that I could binge watch and just get it all done.
So here's what I did. On a whim, I started watching Star Trek Discovery.
Oh.
Have you seen it?
It follows Picard.
Oh, no. Well, I'm only in season 1. Have you seen it?
I haven't watched it, but what I'm saying is that whenever I'm watching Picard,
Oh, it's yeah.
it goes right into it, and so we've
Okay.
been kind of holding off on getting into that.
So I think there are 3 seasons available right now. If there might be 4. I think it's 3, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to throw any spoilers out here, but I will tell you, you will be pleasantly surprised.
Okay, that's good to know. I haven't gone there yet because I was not that thrilled with some of the previous attempts at carrying this on.
I was in the same boat with you, and I was like, oh man, is this going to be
Yeah.
one of these? And then I gave it a chance,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh, holy cow. Now, for you guys that were huge Walking Dead fans, which I don't know, you may not have been a Walking Dead fan, but one of the major characters on The Walking Dead, Shaniqua Martin Green, is one of the key stars of Star Trek Discovery, and she's fantastic.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say I'm on it.
I felt like the acting in the pilot episode was a little weak, but don't worry, you
Picks
get
up,
right past
no problem.
that. Yep. And it is everything that you loved about both the original series and the Next Generation, and possibly even a little Deep Space Nine thrown in there for good measure. It's all in here. It's all
Nice.
in there.
That's killer. Now, I will say this to err on their side. When Picard first came out, I was a bit skeptical after episode 1.
I was too. Yeah.
And but I remember when you watched it, you said, "Hey, just give it," because
Yeah.
you were a little ahead of me. So just give it a shot, and boom, episode 2 and 3, and I'm like, okay, I am all in here.
Now, did you know that they are filming? So we're in season 2 right now. Mm-hmm. They filmed season 2 and season 3 back to back. They just finished filming season 3.
Okay.
This is all over the news. I mean, season 3 is not out. I don't really see how this can be a spoiler. If you didn't know this, hopefully you won't be upset with me for telling you. But by the time season 3 is done, most of the major cast and crew from TNG will have appeared in Picard. I mean, LeVar Burton's back as Geordi, Michael Dorn, Worf, Gates McFadden, Beverly Crusher. Riker's already been in it. Data's already been in it. Brent Spiner,
Right.
I guess. Technically.
Right.
Yeah, there might be a couple of others that I'm forgetting, but most of the original. Marina. What was her
Goldie.
name? The counselor Troy. She's
Whoopi
been in it
Goldberg,
already, right?
Yep.
So yes, they are. Course Guinan. Yep.
Yep.
So by the time season 3 is done, I saw a picture yesterday that they posted on social media of the crew, of the cast.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
finished filming. So
This is great.
It's going to be a little bit of a reunion, I think.
This is great. I'm looking forward to that. Who was the kid again?
Shut up, Wesley. It was Will Wheaton. You not
Will
aware of
Wheaton.
the internet
Right.
meme? Shut up, Wesley.
Yes, that's it. He did a lot of those guest spots on Big Bang Theory, which I loved.
I need that sound drop. Shut up, Wesley. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just fantastic, man. But anyway, he's done well for himself since that, and finding new ways to kind of invent himself in certain series and spot cameos here
He's
and there.
a polarizing guy. Like, he stirs
think
people
so.
up one way or the other.
Yeah. I crack up at him, man. Yeah, definitely. But I love Picard. It's a refreshing take on this thing. And did you like the latest episode?
I did. I feel like we're getting into character development territory here, where the characters are growing on me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really becoming attached to who doesn't love Seven, right? Like everybody loves 7 of 9, right? Like, I mean, at least all the guys do. But Chris,
Yes. Yeah.
that guy, first season, I was like, yeah, all right, this guy's just a hot rod. He's kind of a Han Solo.
Yeah.
No. He's got his own character. It's interesting.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. I did like. I love the ending. Of this last episode. It was great. Yes.
Yeah, and the way that they are mixing, you don't realize it until you think about it. I wonder how many people this will be lost on. Kind of current events, social issues, which Star Trek has always done.
Absolutely.
In the show is really brilliant.
Yeah, that's carrying on the torch for Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
That's what he was all about.
So that's on Paramount Plus, which I'm back to cable bill prices with all the a la carte.
Let's talk about before, and I know where we're going.
Yeah.
So that's Paramount Plus.
Yep.
What else do you subscribe to?
So we have Apple TV Plus. I mean, technically, like if you're the judge and we're in court and you're asking me to like on the record, we're not paying for it because we bought a computer.
Comes with it,
and we got a 6 month. Yeah.
Most of all of your devices that you're able to stream with.
Yeah.
Will come with some sort of free period of Hulu or Apple TV, like Apple TV Plus. Apple TV comes with most of the Apple devices, and then of course Arcade, the gaming side of that. There's so many different things you get with these devices now. But man, I got to tell you, I am so guilty of it. When I see something's coming out and it's like on some other streaming app that I don't have, I'm there. I will go get it, and I've got them all.
That's
crazy.
why. So I have HBO Max, and that's why. Because there was a couple movies that came out that we wanted to see, and I went and got HBO Max for it. And honestly, the content on HBO Max is very good, and we just kept it. And let's see, there's one other one that Showtime we did for Dexter.
Yeah. Well,
and,
have you heard? What about IMDb is going to start streaming free with Amazon?
Yeah, they already are. So,
so that's Amazon. You got that with Amazon. Then you have Amazon Prime.
Yeah. So I used to watch a show called Leverage, which was.
I've heard of, but never watched it.
And
I know what you're talking about.
They basically reboot. It's like a 7th season or whatever, and IMDb is the.
IMDb Okay.
So
right.
Now. Did you know Disney Plus actually is full control over Disney? I'm sorry, Disney has full control over Hulu now. So that's a Disney product.
Well, we also purchase ESPN Plus as well.
Okay.
We stream ESPN, but we have to buy the ESPN Plus.
Right.
And we do that because we're Nashville Predators fans.
Right.
And we're not in the same market, so in order for us to watch every game, we have to have ESPN Plus or the NHL Network. Or Bally Sports or whatever, there's a lot of different networks that depending on what market you're in.
I have this. Yeah, we have the MLB for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so ESPN Plus is like the go-to for us, and of course I do NFL Sunday Ticket, which is only available on DirecTV, so I have to buy that streaming.
Yeah, man,
it's nuts. Yeah. Now, let's get into why we're having this discussion about streaming.
All right. So I honestly think Netflix fell asleep at the wheel. And I'm going to beg to differ. This is the second podcast in a row, the second week in a consecutive week that I've taken issue with something on Bloomberg. You remember that, right?
I do, yeah.
By the way, full podcast, partscounterguru.com. Click on the podcast links. You find us there.
Thank you, guys. Yep.
So Bloomberg, a lot of people have reported this, and I've seen it on 4 or 5 different news feeds, but Netflix shares plunged 30% after massive subscriber loss. Okay, that's a little bit misleading. Now, back to the big picture of this particular podcast episode, which we're probably going to call Hell in a Handbasket, because that's where we're headed if we don't turn some things around. This is extremely misleading. People are going to read this, and they're going to immediately go sell their stock in Netflix, and they're going to basically think Netflix is shot themselves in the foot, right?
Which is not true, if you understand.
So give us some details here, Jay. What do you got?
All right. Well, basically, based on what they're saying, their stocks tumbled 39%, and extended a sell-off that has set on course for a $60 billion wipeout in market value, is what they say.
But that's because of an announcement that they made.
Right.
Okay.
They lost 200,000 customers in the first quarter of this year, and it is the first time that it has lost subscribers like this since 2011, and it projected it will shrink by another 2 million customers in the second quarter. Whoa! Now, some of that has to be
right
due to what's going on over in the Ukraine, which I think they cut Netflix off from streaming over there, which was a loss of nearly
Russia. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Russia. Nearly, I think it's like 700,000 subscribers. They said nearly 1 million subscribers.
Oh, but come on, man. Those guys weren't paying for it anyway. That was all a bunch of Russian hackers stealing my password, right?
Right. But the bigger thing is, and we'll get into this, is that, so, and what you were saying, you kind of think that Netflix, fell asleep at the wheel here a little bit. And they may very well have, because while they were busy going for the big picture, the bigger prize.
Yeah.
You had all these other little streaming apps starting to pop up. You had Paramount Plus claim this, Disney claiming this. This is so they had rights to only air those specific movies or series on those, and took them away from Netflix.
So Netflix went all in, and Amazon started down this road too, and they're partially, in the same boat of movies, big budget movies made for Netflix, right? Like you had headliners, big names, Wahlberg. I can't even begin Ryan Reynolds, who all the ladies love, right?
Right.
And Ryan Reynolds. You had Dwayne Johnson, I think, did some. You had, there's no end here. I'm not going to sit and rattle them all off. But Netflix went down this road of, we're going to do big budget movies. And they lost sight of, when COVID happened, what we were talking about, the binge watching, the streaming, which Netflix was famous for the binge watching. You could just go watch an entire show, right? Like all seasons. And that content has... I find myself watching Netflix less. Now, there has been some good ones. I love Lost in Space.
Yep. But why didn't they could have carried that on longer. That series could have gone and gone and gone and gone. Budget. But I think that I think it was
too expensive to maintain.
Right.
And so, they're in this situation now where, even though Ozark's great and Lost in Space was great, they don't have anything currently to compete with, and this is where it hurts. Disney doing all the Marvel stuff. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki. Trying to think, there's, The Mandalorian. And that's all stuff like they've got, it seems like every quarter, they've got, that's not a mistake, that they've got some new high-end blockbuster show coming out, and Netflix really can't compete with that. There is no Star Trek Picard. There is no, Halo, which I was a big, I literally bought my first Xbox to play Halo.
Right.
And what has Netflix got to compete with that? So I think they fell asleep at the wheel. They weren't producing TV show serial content.
Right.
Like they should have been.
And, while, and again, you had all these other streaming companies, like I said, Disney, which specializes in specific things. They target a specific target audience. Netflix hasn't really done that.
Well, don't forget, Netflix had, and they took a risk in the initial 2 or 3 that they did this with. They had some Marvel superhero shows. They had Daredevil. Yeah, they had Jessica Jones. They had...
They're not allowed anymore, though, right? They can't stream those.
They bought the rights back. Yeah, Disney took them back. Okay? Right. So, but did Netflix learn, hey, man, these are huge hits. Like, we should go develop something similar. Let's do it with DC Universe or whatever. Well, no, now instead of that, like, you have HBO doing the DC Universe. So, again, They had some successes and they didn't learn from those successes. I think they all just started lighting cigars with $100 bills and
Right, which is what I said initially. They were putting their eyes were set on the bigger prize, not realizing that the foundation that they had started was getting eaten away slowly but surely by other companies out there like Disney and
Right.
and CBS with or Paramount, I should say. So yeah, I mean, I do think that they fell on. They were resting comfortably, and they were not paying close enough attention to what was going on around them, and they lost some customer base. That's where a lot of this customer base has gone, is to these other streaming apps. And, you know, they said, I mean, what did I say initially? Was it $45 billion in losses?
I think so. Now, you bring up a good point here, and there's an analyst that pointed this out. The guy's name's Russ Mould. He's a director at AJ Bell. He said, a big problem with Netflix is that it's too easy to leave the service. No. We are not going down that road.
Right.
This is, Jay, what I said about in a previous podcast about the customer being the shareholders. So
Right.
I guarantee you that Russ is over here thinking about the shareholders. He's
Right.
like, well, we should lock these people in so they can't leave. Or not. How about
Right.
that? Because
Right.
we all love subscription models, right, Jay? Don't you love you love your cable subscription model, right? Let's all do contracts, right? Like
Right,
we all
yeah.
love cell phone contracts. Anybody? Let's all talk about how great those are, right?
Right. Yeah.
If they go down a contract model, people will just bolt.
They'll walk away. They'll bail. I will. I'll be the first one in
How
line to
about
bail.
instead of locking people into your crappy content, you produce better content, and then they won't want to leave.
Exactly.
That's how you solve the problem.
Now, and they have also taken a lot of criticism for jacking up their prices in consecutive years. Like the last 4 or 5 years, they've jacked up
Yeah.
their prices like 2 or 3 times.
Right.
And I mean, it's really expensive. They're the most expensive streaming service out there right now. They're in the $16 range.
Easily.
And now,
Yep.
now they're going for another model where you can have a cheaper version of it. And look out, people, here we come, where there's going to be advertising on it. Oh boy, don't we love that? Now, I will say this. This is one of the things that I do not like about watching Picard.
You've got the same. I've got that same one where I paid
Yes.
for it was the lesser expensive, and I have to put up with the
Yep.
commercials.
I got to put up
yeah.
with it. I cannot fast forward. And if I rewind and it's near a commercial,
You got to watch the commercials.
You got to
again.
watch the
Yeah.
commercials again. It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
man. So,
But they're
look
going to
for
do
that.
it. They're going to
They're
do
gonna
it.
do it.
And
They're absolutely going to do it.
This is the issue that I have with that. And again, previous podcast, check us out, partscounterguru.com. We go into this. You're shifting focus on who the customers are. And,
Right.
and it's not the people watching your content, consuming your content. You're trying to keep
Right.
your shareholders happy. Do you remember XM radio, Sirius radio, commercial free? Do you remember
Hey.
the slogan 100% commercial free?
Yeah.
That lasted,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it was, hey, at first it was, who's going to pay for radio? And then
Right.
people said, well, there's no commercials. So you're basically,
Right.
you don't have to listen to commercials, which offsets the cost. So they're going to do a subscription model. Doing both is going to get you in trouble very quickly.
Absolutely.
A subscription model and commercialization.
Right.
I just think people aren't going to stand for it.
This is why I love Apple Radio, Apple Music.
Mm-hmm.
It's a paid subscription. Now, to share it across the board, you got to pay an additional cost for a family plan, which
Right.
is fine. I get that, but there's no commercials on this thing, and I love it. That's why I listen to Apple Music most of the time, Apple Radio most of the time. Plus, it remembers what I've played, and it builds my library so that I know what I'm getting. I love that about it. Whereas SiriusXM does not do that. It will remember your favorite stations, that sort of stuff on the streaming version.
Right.
Obviously, the in-car stuff is the live stuff is it's a lot different than the streaming side
Right.
of it. But
Failure to, this happens to a lot of companies as they hit a certain threshold, the failure to continue to innovate. They're too big. They're not agile anymore.
yeah, right,
And
absolutely, and and this is what Netflix has gotten themselves into, and if you're to err on Bloomberg's side here as far as the stocks go, this is a big deal if you are a shareholder. It took a big dump, man.
Yeah.
I mean, huge dump. But that's everybody jumping on the bandwagon at one time and starting to sell off stock because of it.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it in the bigger picture, that is a loss. But go look at how many subscribers they still have. You know,
or go look at how their shares spiked early in the COVID pandemic because everybody was consuming their content, right?
Right. Now, if Elon can get Starlink up, that might help.
It's working in some places. Speaking of automotive visionaries, all right, let's bring this to a close and finish on who else but Rivian.
Ooh boy.
You wanna? Okay, so another sign of the times, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. Rivian's in the news. RJ Scaringe is in the news. Apparently, he gave a couple interviews in recent weeks, and he spoke to supply chain shortages and issues, which are still ongoing.
Right.
And he's under a lot of pressure right now because he can't make enough vehicles fast enough to basically get his company in the green.
Right. And it's got his, he just went public, guys. And his shares have fallen by 60% so far this year.
Oh, and trust me, as a shareholder, I'm well aware. Now, What was it? It's been less than 6 months that they've been public, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and that was November of 2021 is the initial public offering, and the shares sank hard in March after Rivian cut the production forecast for 2022 in half to just 25,000 vehicles. Now, Keith and I have been covering the supply shortages for 2 years now. We the chip shortage, and then it turned into all these other things. But there's much more to this story that, people need to realize, and especially these smaller startup companies like this, the way the supply chain works in the automotive industry, when you have companies that are supplying body panels or electronic components or chips or whatever to Ford or a GM or a Volkswagen group, those guys are going to get that stuff first. They're going to allocate that product to them first.
Okay,
which puts a small company like this even further at risk.
There's an element here in the journal. This is just becoming an issue with me, is these guys leading you down a path in journalism that maybe is not accurate. So the one that I'm reading is out of Yahoo News, and they give a quote. RJ says, I have to call up semiconductor supplier Y and say, this is how many supplier X gave us, and get everybody comfortable because the system's unproven. So he's basically saying, I got to call one up and go, well, I'm getting more than that from these guys. Surely you guys can give me some more too.
Right.
And you're saying like that is true because your bigger players like Volkswagen, they're holding out, they're not, the supply isn't completely exhausted, right?
Right. No, the supplies are there.
Yeah.
But they are allocated to specific.
So Scaringe is basically making the case that those suppliers are holding back a little bit, which I think is true, and you in the industry have seen that.
I'm certain it is.
Yahoo is kind of the news. They're kind of painting it like he's kind of BSing his way through this. Like, they're making the case that there are other reasons causing the production shortages and that he can't produce the vehicles, and he's using this as a cover. Well, let me just ask you, Jay, because we've reported on him a lot. We've reported on RJ, the CEO of Rivian, quite a bit.
Right. Yep.
One of the things that we repeatedly call out is how upfront, open, and
absolutely
transparent he is to his customers.
Right. Yeah, he is.
So either that was all a sinister plan to lead up to this,
right,
or there is no sinister plan, and he's still being honest.
Yeah, no. Look, the bottom line is that he is faced with the challenges just like any major company, auto manufacturer is out there, and what he is saying is very true. What RJ is saying, there are no smoke and mirrors. He is not plotting anything. When he came out and said we've got to raise costs, I believe that. How he went about trying to recoup maybe some of his losses initially, it bit him hard and fast, but he came back and said, okay, I made a mistake. You guys, I promised you this price, so you get to keep it this price. But if you're going to buy this vehicle from here to 4 and you don't have a reservation, this is what it's going to cost you. He's passing it on to the consumer just as it is being passed on to him from the supplier. And, this stuff is not going to go away with Rivian. And again, some of these smaller companies like a Mullen or a Fisker or, that are just now really getting
DeLorean.
The wheels. DeLorean. All of these, it kind of makes you wonder, how in the world are they going to pull this off? How are they going to do this?
Let me add some clarity to just exactly how painful this is. So RJ says that these Rivians have on average about 2,000 parts for each vehicle produced. Okay.
Right.
He's saying that the supply shortage right now is less than 0.5% of those parts.
Yeah, it's 0.5%. Yeah.
So
less than
that's
1/2, but
yeah,
so
that's
about
like
4%.
Yeah.
0.4%. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking a couple dozen parts here.
Yeah, but
that he can't get that are holding up the entire production of each vehicle.
Yes, absolutely. We have had this conversation on this show before about how that works, because most of these manufacturers work in what we call a JIT mode or a just-in-time mode. They are not warehousing the product. They are expecting timely deliveries to get these things done, and when they're stuck in the middle of we can't deliver, then guess what? You have to cut production. You have to stop production. Typically, those people who are committed to you and that are supplying you are heavily fined if you're a GM, if you're a Ford. And this is why when it comes to these types of shortages, a little old company like Rivian, they have to suffer more than a Ford and a GM, because they're going to get those. The big three is what we used to call the big three. It's no longer the big three. It's actually the big two, in my opinion, GM and Ford.
Right.
Because Chrysler, Dodge, in general, is not even itself anymore. What Stellantis is like the big 20, right, or something?
It's a global.
But it's a global
model.
Absolutely. But this is what happens in these situations. So RJ has always been open, and this is what we have said, and he is telling you straight up the struggles that he has had. And unfortunately, people are buying into some of the media that it was a planned tactic by him, like a bait and switch type tactic, and it's not the case. This is just not the case. He's being very truthful here.
I will say this: if anybody can pull this off, it's this guy.
Yeah.
And so all is not lost, everybody. So at the end of last year, Rivian had over $18 billion with a B dollars in cash reserves. Yep. Mm-hmm. They are not expecting to have to do another investment round. They are going to do fine to continue operation on what they have for the foreseeable future. They're not going to turn a profit this year. It's not going to happen. Ramping up that kind of production, especially in the middle of a supply chain issue, takes years. But I do think that they will continue to approach that net zero and turn a profit. I think they're going to continue their trend towards production. Don't forget, they have a contract with Amazon to produce some of the Amazon vehicles, delivery vehicles, and that's going to be a big factor in their profitability.
Yeah.
So they're by no means are they in trouble in the traditional sense.
No, they've got a lot of fulfillment to deal with here yet, and I think that they'll pull it off. It's happening, and honestly, I've seen a Rivian or two floating around here. I think I even saw a Fisker just recently.
Yeah, imagine the good old days, Jay, when the problem was, are we going to sell any cars, right? Now it's, we sold a bunch of cars.
Right.
What are we going to do?
We need more cars.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know, man. Wow. So if you've liked this video or this podcast, any of the stuff we do, you can check out our videos over on youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Make sure you turn that subscribe button from red to gray. Ring that bell to get notified for any videos that come out. Go to our podcast links at partscounterguru.com. We're on every platform out there. Make sure you hit those. Also, social medias. We are on facebook.com/Parts Counter Gurus. We are on Instagram. Over on Instagram, we are the Parts Counter Gurus. As Keith had mentioned, we are also on Twitter, and that is twitter.com. We are at The Counter Show is our handle. Wow, we're out on everything. So anyway, thanks for subscribing if you are. If you aren't, please do so, and tell some friends. Yeah. So.
All right, everybody. I've got some. I got a parting thought here for you that I hope ties into the theme of today. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing your best. If not, I would suggest that you consider not doing it at all. And I mean it. Just spend some time on that. Think about it. I think your life will be better because of it. You'll thank me later. All right, everybody. Until next time, as always, thank you so much. That's my pal Jay over there. I'm Keith, and we will see you on the next one.